Hello, America. Welcome to Cha Cha's Thought of the Week. For today, my thought of the week, I've had a lot of time to think about this because I interact with a few coworkers. A couple of them even said that I should be uh, some type of counselor or promotional, but
Influential speaker.
that's not who I am. I'm just I'm a part of the moment, and so my thought of the week is don't be afraid to bet on yourself. Do not be afraid to bet on yourself, and let me tell you why. Because sometimes you have to step outside your comfort zone. You have to step outside your comfort zone. There's going to be times where you're going to have to settle for a specific job, a specific position, a specific situation, but you're going to have to look at the bigger picture, right? And the thing about looking at the bigger picture is there are things that's going to come your way that you're not familiar with. So if you don't step outside your comfort zone, you know what you're going to say? You're going to say, you know what? I wish I'd have never left. Or maybe that department or wherever you're leaving, say, you know what? If you feel like coming back, please come back. But you know what they're telling you? They're telling you that you're an impact player. They're telling you that you matter to them. And if you leave, they're going to be lesser than while you were there. So don't be afraid to bet on yourself. Don't settle for just being a 9 to 5, 40-hour a day. Sometimes you're gonna have to bet on yourself. Sometimes there's gonna come a position that is grant funded, especially if you work in like a hospital field, medical field. There's gonna be times where grant programs gonna come up, and you're gonna have to ask yourself, am I going to apply for this job? And if the grant program doesn't get picked up, because the grant program, the purpose of the grant program is it's grant funded, so they have an ideal and they think that the ideal is going to take off, and that facility is going to pick it up once the grant runs out. But there is a chance that facility will not pick it up when the grant runs out. But guess what? That's when you bet on yourself. Because if they hired you for that grant program, you have to bet on yourself that you're going to say, I'm going to grow this program. I'm going to give them a reason to make this thing work. And then once that happens, the world is your oyster. But if you don't, you limit yourself and you stay in a box. You stay in a box. So America, whatever you decide, because we never know how that opportunity is gonna come for us. Sometimes that's what it's gonna take. Sometimes we're gonna have to say, you know what? This may not be the best situation for me, so I have to make it the best for me. So I'm telling you, America, and I know this from experience, don't be afraid to bet on yourself. Because I'm going to give you this phrase, and I'm going to end it with this phrase. The worst thing that can happen in your life is if you get in your own way. And then in the future, when you reflect, you have to live with the choice you didn't make. You have to reflect on that day after day after day. So don't become that person. Don't become that person that you worry about what if and what if. Well, what if I don't like the job? Well, what if you do? What if you do like the job? So don't be afraid to bet on yourself, because the best thing you can do for yourself is every day you wake up, you say something positive and let it manifest in your life every single day. Because if you say something negative, you're going to wait for it to happen. You might not have a negative morning, but the first thing that happens, if you stub your toe, I knew it. So you're betting on yourself to fail. So once again, America, say something positive every day. If it's something new, it can be, the training can be hard, but they chose you. They chose you for a reason. Why is it that you have to be afraid to be the best? Why is it that You have to be that person that says, I just want to learn a job and get in, get out, and earn my money. Why is it that you can't say to yourself, nobody will ever outwork me? So go through that obstacle. Go through it. Because that's your mission. Your mission is not to succeed. Your mission is to be the best. You want to stand out. And that's what I'm saying to you. That's what I'm saying to you. Don't just be okay with learning the job. Don't, because if you go in there, if I'm going in there and we're all co-workers when we eat lunch, but guess what? I'm moving up. And I know you my enemy. We're gonna be cool behind that. But you my enemy. You my enemy because I know at the end of the day, you want what I want, and maybe you don't. Because if you don't, that means that you haven't bet on yourself. So guess what? You will never outwork me.
Oh God.
So America, I will end it like this. Never be afraid to bet on yourself. If you're never afraid to bet on yourself, the world is your oyster. And I'm out. Peace.
Yeah.
I had a situation like that though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do tell.
My situation, it wasn't like very similar to that, but it kind of struck a chord because, I took this new position and they have a, like a stock room or like a cart room that was being utilized initially for the purpose that I want to repurpose it for. And they were wanting to give it back to the hospital. Like, we don't want to take on the responsibility because nobody's managing it.
Right.
So when I came on board and I figured out it was there, I was like, let me have it. And they're like, no, we don't want to deal with it. I'm like, let me manage it. I got this. Like, I know that I can do this. Let me prove to y'all. So that was me betting on myself that I can prove y'all that I'm going to get this done.
Yeah.
So the day that they were questioning it, I was like, I ain't even gonna let them question it. I went right over to that room. I cleaned that room out, took pictures, showed them. They were like, oh, you're serious? Yes, I'm serious. I want to show y'all that I can do this. I want to show y'all that I can make this what I want it to be, and it will be successful. So that really struck a chord with me because I'm going through that now by proving it that
Amen. Yeah.
I have that. Like, I'm betting on myself, and I'm about to prove y'all. So get ready for it.
Yeah.
Exactly, because it's basically like anything else. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, how can you expect anybody else to invest in you at all?
Yeah.
Facts.
And so let me give you a backstory to piggyback off of what you just said. So we both work at UK, Harvey and I got on a UK in 2016. I was on a job that I had been on since 2002. And I was not advancing, and I was doing a lot, and I gave them the opportunity because the one thing, like I said, my maturity allowed me to say I'm gonna give them one more chance. I gave them an offer, and they told me they couldn't help me, and so I put in my 2 weeks notice and I left, and I went to a temp agency, and it was $4 less. It was hell. It was hell.
Oh, I bet.
So I had already bet on UK calling me. I had been trying to deal with UK's, get hired with UK since 2013.
Oh, wow.
And they finally called me in 2016, right? And I go to the interview. I've got a pinstripe suit on.
Come on.
A pumpkin orange dress shirt.
Slick Daddy K.
Patent leather shoes and everything. They looking at me like, ooh, I think he's a pimp. Nah, I'm just kidding. But I only say that because it was 3 women. It was a 3-person panel, and I had never went through that my whole life. I'd only dealt with one person. It was 3 women, and so I'm listening to this job, and I'm like, oh, this is nothing. Because anywhere I go, I bet on myself. I'm the hardest worker. Nobody works harder than me.
Same.
And so all I'm waiting is for them to say, you know what, Charles? So tell me a little bit about you. So they were talking to me like I literally had the job.
Facts.
And so I go through this whole spiel in my mind like Ace Ventura. When they finally gave me opportunity to speak on myself, in my mind, I mentally sucked in, and I went through this whole spiel. And at the end of my spiel, I told them, Anybody that you have now will not outwork me. Nobody that you have now will outwork me. If you need me to work 12 hours, I'm going to work 13. If you need me to work 24 hours, I'm going to work 25. And you better bring me a cot because I'm not going home. And so that's what I had to hang my hat on.
Yeah.
They hired me
Betting
for
on
that.
yourself.
So I posted that. I posted that when I got this new position in 2023 that I am now. I posted on nobody will ever outwork me. And that's the mentality that we have to have. It's not about, even if you don't like the job, once you go through your probationary period, go ahead and say, well, you know what, this job is not for me. No problem. But make sure that they know
Give it a full try, yeah.
that it wasn't because I couldn't do the job.
Yeah.
And that's it. Give yourself options.
There you go.
Don't go in there and be like, oh my God, all this paper, this training is something. Ain't nothing. If you're at UK, there's nothing hard about sitting behind a desk. There's nothing hard behind it. There's nothing hard about it. It's just how you accept it.
Yeah. So what would you telling them people? And what's the name of your segment of what's your thought of the week? One more time, give it to them before we wrap it.
The thought of the week is don't be afraid to bet on yourself. Don't be afraid to bet on yourself. America, do not. That means you're going to have to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to bet on yourself. But to bet on yourself, that means you're going to have to bear the cross of being a somebody that you may have never been before. Maybe you wasn't used to getting up extra early. Maybe you wasn't used to, covering for somebody else. Maybe you wasn't used to seeing volunteering to work overtime. But when you bet on yourself, that's what you have to do. So number one, don't be afraid to bet on yourself, but at the same time, you got to put in that work because it will pay off. And I'm out.